We recognize the negative feelings toward online Islamic learning. The teacher problem is real, the field is young and underdeveloped. Now, more specifically, what are some of the patterns seen in online Islamic learning that is making you, the parent or the caregiver, feel negative towards the field? And this is not bashing. Clearly identifying the issues are an important part of development. And when we want to be able to clearly talk about them with our teachers, with our spouse, with ourselves, we clearly know what we are looking at, especially if we need to make any decision for our child. Now, keep in mind, a skilled teacher can show any one of these on a hard day, and a struggling teacher can show several of them by default. The point is recognition, not making a verdict. The first pattern we see is performance only. The recitation is beautiful, maybe they have ijaza. 3 years in, the child can imitate familiar verses but cannot yet decode unfamiliar ones. Or you begin to notice that the recitation is not done with correct tajweed, although it sounds very nice. Modeling and explicit instruction are two different skills, and they go hand in hand. A lesson built mostly on modeling will leave a gap on the decoding side, which is detrimental because when the child has to take learning in their own hands, they haven't developed the core skills. So this is a gap in modeling and teaching. Inconsistent timing is the second pattern. Late starts, early endings, many reschedules, even if it's for a good reason. We have to remember predictability is part of a young child's curriculum. When timing is unsteady, children read it as a signal that this is not a serious thing. You want the opposite signal when it comes to their Islamic learning. So this is a consistency gap. Pattern number 3, divided attention. Camera is off, or the teacher is looking at another screen, or perhaps looking down at their phone. A lot of background activity during the lesson. Sometimes there's a real reason for that, a quick interruption, a tech limitation. But when it's the pattern, the effort from your child to connect to the lesson shrinks. Your child usually feels this before they can even name it, and so do you. This is a presence gap. Pattern number 4 is repetition without variation. Your child reads a verse, gets it wrong. The same correction comes back, no, again, wrong again, no, again, same explanation every single time. This is very common and distressing. When a child doesn't understand, a skilled teacher changes the route. Different example, different angle, a new way in. A skilled teacher takes the child's level, abilities, age, or perhaps special needs considerations and uses that information to guide their instruction. Repeating the same approach harder and harder and harder as you go along is a skills gap that professional development can address. And it is very important to work on this aspect because it can affect your child's confidence in themselves, their self-esteem, and their desire to learn. If a child keeps connecting, "I'm wrong, I can't do this no matter how hard I try," to Islamic learning, it may push the child to have anxiety and start to refuse or avoid the subject. And that is crucial to recognize and end immediately, because the avoidance is not to the subject or Qur'an, Arabic, or Islam. It's to the way they were taught. And if not corrected, they could harbor those feelings. How many of you still say, "I hated such and such class," like math class? But if you really think deeper, was it really math? Or was it the way you were taught or how you were made to feel in the class? This is a differentiation gap. Pattern number 5, communication delay. Messages take days, updates are sparse or very vague, communication doesn't invite partnership. You are a co-investor in your child's education. The communication channel between you and the teacher is part of the work. A lack in communication can also leave many issues unresolved, which may have a negative impact on the child. So this is a partnership gap. Pattern number 6 is tonal severity. Correction is a part of learning. The question is, how is it done? Being harsh, angry, or threatening is not strictness. It is not guidance. It is not the way we are supposed to correct. When correction lands as embarrassment and the child goes quiet because of that, or looks down, or stops trying, that's not strict teaching. That needs to be ended directly, and we have to remember the cultural differences that exist. Perhaps the teacher was disciplined this way by his or her parents, or by his or her teachers or elders. This may have been the way they are used to. That does not mean that that has to be the way that they work with your child. And that is where professional development comes in. Sometimes all that is needed is eye-opening and direction for the teacher to understand there are other ways. So a manner refinement still in process. Pattern number 7 is curriculum visibility. You ask the teacher about the learning path and get a vague answer. This is very commonly seen, or you get the usual such and such book or curriculum. Now, there may be real work happening behind the scenes, but if you can't see the scope and sequence, no benchmarks are visible to you, no progression you can track, then the lessons can look the same week after week. Visible progression supports the child, supports you, and supports the teacher's own planning. So a planning visibility gap. So these are just some of the patterns parents tend to see. So if you recognize your child's lessons in several of them, you're in the majority. These are common in the field today, but common and standard are not the same thing. These patterns are common because the field is young, not because they are permanent, and not because teachers can't do better. Actually, many teachers want to grow past these patterns and are motivated to learn. Teachers who don't show these patterns do exist. As we go along, we will discuss how to tackle these issues head-on in a productive way for ourselves and our children, and for the teachers as well. Now, in this next video, we will discuss why these patterns show up even when the teachers are working hard. So we as parents and caregivers gain perspective and compassion for the conditions so we can differentiate our approach and whether we should continue to invest or let go. Subscribe and share this video to a parent or caregiver. Let's work on this hand in hand. I will see you in the next video, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum.